Hello, everyone. James Wilson here. And today we're going to do another prediction on the 2024 presidential election. Now, I won't be doing another one of these videos until a month from today. I'm going to say maybe September 16th. At this particular point, things could happen between now and then. I'll have a better idea mid-September who's going to win this election. But I do want to go to a deep dive and take a look at the numbers. So this election, just like the last two elections, it's going to come out to turnout. And what I've done and decided to do was crunch some numbers. So I'm going to show you what I have come up with. What I like to do is take a look at the past and see what actually happened in each election and how the polls were at that time. So when you take a look at this in 2008, I started this election here. Obama had 1.68 million votes and McCain won 1.26. I rounded based on that. T stands for total. It's the total amount of votes that was casted overall, and that's extremely important, and I'll explain to you why. So these are the three Rust Belt states that are mainly focused at this particular point in time. Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. And what I'm looking for is trends. How did these elections trend? Number one. Number two, how was the polling and who overperformed and who underperformed the polling? It's extremely important. So when I look at this, I'm looking at the total amount of votes here. 2.098, 5.01, and 6.2, which is a long time ago. That was 2008, 16 years ago. How is it relevant today? It's relevant today because we have to see the trends on how the states are going and try to paint a picture of what's really going on. It's all about numbers, folks. The numbers is what wins you elections. Now, when you look at 2012, and I'm going to start with Wisconsin, total votes actually went up. Even though in the country the total votes went down, in Wisconsin they actually went up, and you can tell that Mitt Romney had about 115,000 more votes than McCain did. And you can see that the Democrats lost about 60,000 votes, okay? And so the trend was to the right. When you look at 2016, you will see that Clinton had way less votes than Obama did, less votes than Trump, and less votes than Romney. Now, I will say this. Romney had about 2,700 more votes in 2012 than Trump did in 2016. How is that significant? That's significant because Trump won the state in 2016 despite having less votes than Mitt Romney. Clinton had less than both of them, all of them. Now, total, it's similar to 2008. So the turnout wasn't that much of a difference. It was a little less than 2012. So that's an indicator that they voted third party. Lots of third party shares votes, okay? So now you're painting the picture of why Trump won in 2016. How did he win? He didn't win by getting a lot of votes. Romney actually had more votes than Trump. That's a fact. Let's move on here to 2020 where it jumps to 3.3 million. Biden got his vote shares back just like Obama did. You see that? 1.68, 1.62, 1.63. It's consistent, it's unified, okay? Trump with 1.61 million, that tells me that he got 200,000 more votes than he did last time. So Trump has to gain big numbers in order to win the election, and there is less third-party vote share. So the conclusion for Wisconsin is there's got to be a good third-party vote share against Harris in order for him to win. So let's talk about the polling in Wisconsin. Extremely important. As I said, it paints a picture. In 2012, in these 3 states, Obama overperformed the polling. 2.7, 2.9, and 3.0, he overperformed. O stands for Obama. 2016 in Wisconsin, Trump overperformed by 7.2%. But in Michigan, it was less at 3.7, and in Pennsylvania, even less at 2.6. That's interesting. Okay? Now, when you look at 2020, well, let's not jump too much. So my goal is to paint a picture. My goal is to see how Wisconsin's going to do based on the history of how they voted. Now, why did it jump so high? And that's because of the mail-in ballots and the ballot harvesting. I know that the amount of people probably increased, but not that much, right? That's a huge jump. You see how consistent this is and how it jumped this time? Well, guess what, folks? It's not going away. Just because the virus is not here or it's like not as prevalent, the ballot harvesting is not going to go away, folks. It's here to stay, and I'm telling you that. So Trump will generate the vote share. Romney and McCain type Republicans will not generate the vote share, as you can tell here with Obama absolutely destroying it. But when you look at down here, Biden had more votes than Obama, but Obama in 2008 had more votes than Biden, even though Biden had about 12 million more votes nationwide than Obama did. Or maybe it's actually more, maybe more like 15 million more votes compared to 2012. So I find that very interesting. So the voting, so why, the question you have to ask about Wisconsin here is why was the polling so off? Yes, Obama overperformed in 2012, which tells me that Democrats could overperform. Okay, now here they overperformed by 7.2. Why? That's an easy question. Because Clinton didn't get the votes that she needed. That's why. She didn't get people to vote for her. It was a lower turnout for the major candidates. That's why Trump overperformed. And we all know why Trump overperformed in 2020. That's because of the virus. I told everybody that if you watched my previous video, I explained everything. So we don't need to go there. But I will say this, in the state of Michigan, Trump overperformed by less in 2020 than he did in 2016. Now, I will tell you this. Biden was up by 6.7. Harris is only up by a point. Biden is up by 4.2 points. Harris is only up by 2.1. And now it's even, a tie. Now, I will tell you this. When you look at the actual, this here is not as bad as this, as far as how off the polls were. But you can tell that these are pretty close, right? 1.2, 1.4, and even. And as I said before, Trump overperformed because of the virus. He overperformed the polling because of the virus. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And, you know, people who stayed home and were bored were more likely to answer the phone and more likely to support Joe Biden, the Democrat. And that's going to relay to Harris. That's going to go. So if Trump overperformed because of that, now it's more balanced. That's why you have a more balanced polling. You have a tighter polling because we don't have this virus going on. You don't have, it was such a polarizing, what people did was very polarizing. People stayed home or people went out and about. It was very polarizing. If you stayed home, you're a Democrat. If you went out and about, you're Republican. The Democrats were bored. They picked up the phone, answered the phone. It's not hard. It ain't brain surgery, folks. It's not brain surgery. No one's talked about it besides me. So let's go back into this here. I want to see trends here. So Obama had a lot of votes here in 2008. He lost a bunch in 2012. Romney gained a little bit, but you see the amount of votes went down big time. This is Michigan. Now, when you look at that, the votes actually went up a little bit compared to 2012. But Clinton had a lot less votes than anyone. Look at that. I mean, except for McCain. McCain did terrible. But when you look at the 2.87, 2.56, 2.27, you see there's a trend. And that trend is less Democratic vote. The Democrats are going down. But in 2020, hello, it went back to Obama numbers in 2008. Well, why do you think that is? I mean, look at Trump. He went up. He didn't go down. You see that? Everyone went up. Look at the amount of votes. It went up big time. Why? Because of the ballot harvesting and the mail-ins. Hello, people. And just because you mail in a ballot doesn't mean they're going to send it back. But guess what? It does mean that someone's going to go to their house or apartment and pick up the ballot. They're going to knock on the door. Did you mail in your ballot? Oh, I can't find my ballot. I can't find my ballot. Let me see if I can find it. Well, we need your ballot. We need to protect democracy. We need your ballot. And so that's exactly what's going to happen now. But guess what? The polls are more accurate now because the virus is pretty much gone. I mean, you hear bits and pieces of it, but there's no mandates. There's no, shutting anything down. So the Democrats are out and about, and so are the Republicans. So now the voting is more balanced, okay? But as I said before, I think the Democrats will overperform due to the harvesting. People are not talking about that. That is how I feel. That's how I feel it's going to happen because that they're playing the game. Okay? Look at this. Pennsylvania, 3.28 million, jumped up to 3.46. They harvested the most, folks. It went up. At least in Michigan, it didn't go up. It went down. It still was like 70,000 less votes. But it went up by almost 200,000 votes, like 180,000 more votes. And so when you're looking at this 6.94, I mean, Trump went up. Trump vote shares went up by almost over 400,000 votes. I mean, it's not like he didn't get the votes. It's just the massiveness, folks. Just the massive ballot harvesting. People who are lazy, they don't vote. They don't care. People are lazy. And those people vote Democrat if they were to have their spoon fed to them. And that's exactly what's going on here in 2020. It's not like Trump didn't lose any votes. He gained a bunch of votes. So when you're looking at that, and then you're looking at the polls in Pennsylvania, and you're looking at the polls, they're tied, but they're not really tied. Because of the ballot harvesting that's going to happen, I think Harris is probably up by about 2. I think Harris is probably going to be up about maybe 3 or 4. And in Wisconsin, who knows? That's a wild card because of how bad the polling has been. But you can say due to lack of voting is why Clinton underperformed big time. Maybe she was too confident. That's what I'm thinking. So I think that I mean, Trump is Trump and people either like him or hate him. But in 2016, Clinton didn't get what she wanted because she was overconfident and she just didn't get the vote share. A lot of third party people got that. And that's why Trump overperformed it. And in 2020, there's a lot of people that supported Trump. Trust me, there was. And they came out to vote. It's just that, you know, when you have 300,000 more votes, and I can show you again, in Wisconsin, you had over 300,000 more votes that were casted, that were harvested. That were harvested and everything. It's hard to overcome that, folks. It's hard, okay? And so when you're looking at these numbers, you know, Harris will probably be up by about 4. She'll probably win by about 2. I mean, because when you look at the virus, I mean, look at the virus numbers. It was a dead heat. And I told you how Trump overperformed by about 3, but it was even in Pennsylvania because of all the harvesting going on for the Democrats. So this here, right here, is probably a 2-point win for Harris. Okay, and so as I said, Wisconsin, I think for some reason they voted third party. I don't know what that just. I don't understand that. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't understand this here. They must not harvest as much. Okay. But Harris is up by a point, and I think that the reason why this was off is because of the virus, and maybe Wisconsin is more of a Democratic state, and they don't harvest as much. I mean, you got Milwaukee versus Pennsylvania, which is Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, and then you have Detroit, Michigan. I just think Wisconsin, maybe they don't harvest their votes as much, but it did show that they did. So I don't know. I will tell you that right now Harris is up by a point, and I that's a question mark. But I think that they're going to. They have a Democratic governor. And I think they're going to harvest as many votes as they can to win the election. I think this is probably an accurate poll. You know, man, I hope it's not. That's the one thing I'm confused about is the state of of Wisconsin. But when you look at it, but it's all lowered. You know, but Trump got more votes than Romney did, in all of it except for Wisconsin too, but Clinton just absolutely lost it big time in this state. I mean, at least she got more votes. I mean, she still had less votes than Obama, but in Pennsylvania, it was closer. Okay, so Pennsylvania trended to the right big time in 2016. It trended to the right. Pennsylvania did. Okay, but looking at this here, it trended to the left heavily, and that's because of the ballot harvest. The numbers just, they don't lie, folks. So when you look at this, it's like Wisconsin. I mean, you're looking at the Democrats, 1.68, 1.62, and 1.63. Trump is 1.61. So I think it's going to be extremely close, but I think that based on the data and analysis, I think it's going to go Democrat. I think all these states, based on the numbers and data, are going to go Democrat. Okay, and I explained to you in the last video why the polls are off. Now, North Carolina, I think it's going to go Republican. In Georgia, I've heard that there's a lot of weird things going on in Georgia. I don't know. I think it's going to go Trump, but I'm not 100% confident on that. Nevada, I don't trust because they have the mail-ins. And Arizona could go either way. When you're looking at the polls in Arizona at this point, Trump has a slight lead overall. So I would give it to him, but this is just what I have. I mean, this is what I had last time. But with Arizona, like, could it go? It could go blue. I mean, but I am confident that these three could go red. I have a friend that disagrees that I think Wisconsin probably could go red before Pennsylvania. Maybe, I don't know. I just can tell you that they're just going to ballot harvest Pennsylvania. They did it last time, and I can't see why they won't do it again. And the polls were accurate. They were dead on in 2020. So if they're dead on in 2020, and we all know about the virus and people staying home and saying, you watched my previous video and then I explained it to you. With that information, I think Harris is up by a couple of points, because when you ballot harvest and you do the mail-ins and stuff, and that's the 2,000 mules. They say it's a conspiracy theory. It's not a conspiracy theory. The numbers don't lie, folks. It's not a conspiracy theory. So let me know what you think about this video. Like and subscribe. Any questions or comments, we would greatly appreciate it. As I said, I'm the only YouTuber in this that's talking about why the polls are off in 2020. Thanks. Bye-bye.